Welcome to World Talk Brief. For the first time in decades, Japan is now completely without any Chinese pandas. Seriously, after thousands of fans said their really emotional goodbyes, the last two were flown back to China. And, it might sound like a small thing, but it's actually a massive symbol of a relationship that has really hit rock bottom. So, how did we get here? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down. We'll start with those pandas, then get into the red line that really set off this whole crisis. We'll dive deep into China's greyzone pressure tactics, see exactly how Japan is fighting back, and figure out the huge role the US plays in all of this. And that'll lead us to the big question: where does the standoff possibly go from here?
Okay, so let's start where this all became so public, with a very emotional goodbye.
Look, when Beijing announced it was taking its pandas back, it wasn't just some administrative decision. This was a really calculated move. It was part of a much bigger strategy to show Tokyo just how unhappy it was. And now, those empty enclosures at the zoo in Tokyo, they're a stark daily reminder of the chill between these two nations. And this really gets to the heart of it all. Why is China putting on the pressure from so many different angles all at once? And maybe the most important question is this whole campaign against Japan's new Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, actually going to work? Let's find out. What's so interesting is that this whole firestorm wasn't sparked by a trade war or some old historical argument. Nope. It was triggered by a single comment. A comment about a place China considers an absolute, uncrossable red line. So, it all started back in November. Prime Minister Takaichi suggested that Japan's military would get involved if Taiwan were attacked. Now, what you have to understand is that other Japanese leaders might have thought this, they might have said it privately, but this was the first time a sitting prime minister said it out loud so publicly. Beijing's reaction was, as you can imagine, immediate and furious. But Takaichi, she has refused to take it back. And to really get why China reacted so strongly, you have to understand this one core principle. For Beijing, Taiwan isn't just a foreign policy issue. It's a domestic one. It's a fundamental question of national sovereignty. So any suggestion of military help from another country is seen as a direct threat to its authority, and that is why Takaichi's comments were seen as so incredibly provocative. So Takaichi didn't back down. And that's when China moved way beyond just angry words. It launched this coordinated, multi-front pressure campaign designed to hit Japan from every possible angle. Analysts have a name for this strategy. They call it greyzone warfare. The idea isn't to start an actual shooting war. Instead, it's about applying this steady, unrelenting pressure across diplomatic, military, economic, and even cultural fronts. The whole point is to wear down your opponent and, over time, make aggressive actions seem, routine. Okay, so on the diplomatic front, China has tried to isolate Japan. It's filed complaints at the UN, it's put a key summit with South Korea on ice, and it even brought up Japan's World War II history at a major security conference, basically trying to paint Takaichi's comments as a sign of resurgent militarism. At the same time, the military pressure has been ramped up. We're talking Chinese warships sailing right past Japanese islands, drones flying into Japanese airspace, and there have been some really tense encounters, like Japanese officials reporting that Chinese fighter jets have locked their radars onto their planes. That's a very serious escalation.
And, of course, China is also hitting Japan where it hurts most: its economy. Beijing has restricted exports of rare earth elements, which are vital for tech. It's warned its own citizens not to travel or study in Japan, and it's even canceled dozens of flight routes.
And to give you some perspective on that, just look at this number. A full 25%. A quarter of all foreign tourists to Japan are from China. So turning off that tap of people and money, even just a little bit, has a huge and immediate economic impact. And the pressure campaign is so thorough, it even gets down to the cultural level. Japanese concerts in China? Canceled. Japanese movie releases? Postponed. They even found a way to criticize a Pokemon event. And online, it gets personal, with state-backed accounts using AI-generated videos to launch attacks against Prime Minister Takaichi herself. It just shows how deep and wide this campaign really is. So, with all this intense, multi-front pressure, you would think Japan might be forced to bend a little, right? But here's where the story gets really fascinating. All this pressure seems to have actually made Prime Minister Takaichi's position at home even stronger. And the proof is right here in the numbers.
In a recent snap election, Takaichi's party won a massive victory. They took 316 out of 465 seats. I mean, this wasn't just a win, it was a landslide, a historically strong mandate from the Japanese public.
And according to experts like Christy Gavella at CSIS, this mandate is everything. Takaichi is expected to cash in this political capital to push forward policies that do the exact opposite of backing down. We're talking policies designed to beef up Japan's security and economic independence. And believe me, she is not wasting any time. Takaichi has already pledged to speed up increases in defense spending, finalize a whole new set of security strategies by the end of this year, and launch a new economic stimulus package. It's a crystal clear signal to Beijing we have no intention of caving.
But there is one more huge player in this game, a real wildcard that could change the whole dynamic: the United States.
And the U.S. position here is, well, it's complicated. On one hand, President Trump has come out with very strong support for Takaichi and the U.S.-Japan alliance, but at the exact same time, Washington and Beijing are actively trying to warm up their own relationship, with several high-level meetings in the works. And this has created a real fear in Tokyo of some kind of grand bargain between the two giants that could leave Japan out in the cold. All right, so when we put all these pieces together, the red line, the gray zone pressure, Japan's defiance, the U.S. wildcard, it brings us right back to our central question. Where is this all headed? When you lay the two positions side by side, you can see why this looks like a stalemate. For China, Taiwan is a core, non-negotiable interest, and they just do not trust Takaichi. For Japan, Takaichi has this powerful public mandate to resist, and she's actively making the country stronger. Right now, neither side has a good reason to back down. So let's finally answer that question we posed at the very beginning. Will China's intense pressure campaign work? While the consensus among analysts is a pretty clear no. In fact, it might just be backfiring. Beijing's pressure seems to be making Prime Minister Takaichi even stronger at home, reinforcing her mandate to stand firm against them.
As Kyotaru Tsutsui from Stanford University puts it, this tango will likely continue on for a while, and that really sums it up perfectly. It looks like we're in for a long, drawn-out standoff. Japan isn't going to bend to the pressure. Instead, it's going to double down on its security alliance with the United States to make absolutely sure it doesn't have to face a rising China all on its own. Subscribe to World Talk Brief for more clear, thoughtful explanations. World Talk Brief, news explained without the noise.